That is the clumsiest effort to deflect from everything I just told you that I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, sir.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Grimm. Today we have a final part of our Jeremy Dewitte on Dr. Phil series. That's right, if you haven't seen my previous two videos, make sure you go watch those first for context, because this one is the grand finale, and this guy is about to take a lie detector test on Dr. Phil's show, and you're going to be quite shocked by the results. But before that, we're going to talk with him and Dr. Phil a little bit more, and just hear some more ridiculous things out of this idiot's mouth, who is going around pretending that he's a cop, or claiming that he isn't, but he definitely is doing everything in his power to look like one, while he's simply escorting funerals.
Covering U.S. law enforcement and crime, our programming is dictated by timing, significance, prominence, availability, and significantly human interest.
So Dr. Phil's team actually reached out to Real World Police to get a statement on this, because as Jeremy's been saying this entire time, he claims that their footage is grossly edited and just paints him in a bad light. He's always like, oh, they didn't leave in the part where this maniac almost ran over 10 pedestrians, which didn't happen obviously, but that's his excuse for all this harassment that he's been doing to other people. I guess that's the best word to say. And I really love the end of this statement from them. They say the combination of Jeremy's extreme personality and his extensive, unrepentant criminal history have made him a natural story subject, which is just a perfect way to put that. He really is just the perfect type of idiot that people on the internet want to watch, me included. And it's kind of fun to watch this whole thing just implode on him.
I apologize for the way I've spoken sometimes. I do feel bad about that.
You got a great business. Why are you going to blow this up from the inside out?
And here Dr. Phil's actually trying to reason with the guy, because he can see that this dude does care about his job. Obviously, he's going to the highest degree of try hard on his job. He has this giant company that I believe he has built from the ground up. He said that he has 28 motorcycles in his fleet and like 30 other vehicles. So I'm sure there's a lot of money in this business to be made and to be spent. And he's about to blow this all up, all because he's been spending his entire life trying to be this police officer, and he can't hang it up. Dude, you just gotta hold the L and try to make the best out of your company that you do have, but don't try to be a cop anymore. It's not working out, and it's now made you famous on the internet for being an absolute idiot.
I would be asking myself, what is it about me that's causing me to misbehave in a way that draws negative attention to me?
Dr. Phil, are you kidding me? Do you think Jeremy has any ability for self-reflection? If he did, I don't think he would do a single thing that he's done in his life so far, because that is just a complete lack of self-reflection, if you ask me. This guy is the biggest dork of all time. He's going out causing havoc in the streets, and he really doesn't care at all. You can tell his attitude this entire time. He still thinks he's in the right, and he's just trying to explain to the world why he is a cop, but he's not.
So I'm asking you, where am I badge heavy? Where have I pulled over some, hold on, where have I pulled over some car?
You out of my funeral, out of my funeral. You over there.
Maybe like 10 times in this segment so far it's been shown. And also, if you look at literally any footage of you on the Real World Police channel, we can see you being badge heavy, which is just a term for him trying to assert his authority where he has none. He's been pulling over cars left and right, screaming at them, calling them F-boys over and over, because that's his favorite insult as a 40-something-year-old man, which is kind of mind-blowing to me that he even knows that terminology. But let's keep going. You're badge heavy, bro. Just admit it.
Where have I done that other than yelling at somebody that's entered my funeral illegally?
It's not your funeral procession. You were hired to facilitate it. You are an escort.
I love that he slips up again and says, my funeral. Dude, it's not your funeral. You have no ownership in this. You're simply the company that was hired to escort this dead person. But really, you have no emotional attachment to this, and you shouldn't. It's your job, dude. And quit acting like it's someone you know that's dead there, because you're disrespecting that person's funeral by causing this storm every time you go down the road with them.
It's really hard to talk your way out of something you behaved your way into.
I agree with you.
It's not yours.
Oh, and I love that term right there, actually. I have not heard Dr. Phil say that, I believe, but it's true. This guy cannot keep explaining away stuff that there is literal video evidence of, like years of video evidence that he's been doing this. So he can try to slick talk all he wants, and he's going to keep doing it, don't worry. And he's actually about to ask Dr. Phil an extremely offensive question. But what Dr. Phil just said here is true. He cannot BS us anymore. We all see right through it, dude. You are just squirming in your chair right now, trying to find a way out or a way to explain this, but there is none. Your actions speak for themselves.
It doesn't disrupt the graveside service, It's not an emergency situation.
I totally agree.
I totally agree, Dr. Phil. That's why I rev my engine and fly up next to them and scream at them while having my lights on, looking exactly like a cop, and scare the living daylights out of random people just for simply not knowing that they entered this funeral procession on accident, which I'm sure almost every person who's caught up in this has done it on accident. I don't think anyone maliciously sees them going through and is like, oh, is that a hearse? I'm gonna disrupt this funeral and try to hit a bunch of pedestrians. I hope Jeremy Dewitte isn't around to stop me.
Once the family's life has been put in danger multiple times, it has escalated to that. I do apologize for my demeanor. But let me ask you one question, Dr. Phil.
You've already asked me one.
Let me ask you another one then.
Show me the footage, Dr. Phil. You don't know what these monsters have done out in the road. I'm saving lives out here, okay? There would be so many more funerals in Florida if it weren't for me saving these families' lives. Give me a break, you freaking moron. I mean, even Dr. Phil's tired of hearing it at this point. We're all just laughing behind the screens watching you scramble here.
You've already asked me one.
Let me ask you another one then. Your absolutely beautiful wife, I would assume after how many years again you've been married?
44.
Jeremy, where's this going? You don't bring up Robin, okay? That's just a bad move, but I already can tell this is about to be super offensive, and like I said earlier, I already know what the question is. Why are you bringing this up, Jeremy?
If she were to pass away tomorrow, the one person that you've spent 44 years with, and she was everything to you, you'd be the most emotional, distraught person you've ever thought of.
Oh, the slow zoom on Dr. Phil as he's trying to just hold back all of this frustration here at this guy's moronic question. He literally says, how long have you been married to Robin? Oh, 44 years? Okay. Now imagine her dead, okay? Imagine her dead and some idiot on the road is trying to just get in the middle of a funeral. You want me there, Dr. Phil. My job is important and I might as well be a cop. In fact, I'm better than cops because I save lives.
And actually almost put your family in danger and almost cause accidents or hurt your own family that you understand that I'm keeping safe from point A to point B.
Wow, Jeremy is just truly such a hero when he puts it that way. I'm just so glad that he's there to protect these families. That's definitely why he got into this business and why he's devoted so much of his money and budget into basically replicating police outfits and police cars.
Okay, my answer has two parts.
Okay.
Part one is that is the clumsiest effort to deflect from everything I just told you that I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Ah, yes. You get an audience clap participation moment here, even though they're all on a wall, just on a Zoom call in the back. You got Robin clapping, but it's true, man. I mean, that was just one of the saddest attempts at deflection that I've personally seen, and Dr. Phil claims it's the worst that he's seen in his entire life. So if he's done like a bajillion freaking seasons of this show, and he's met just every type of moron that you could possibly imagine, if this question is the worst deflection he's ever heard, you might as well get an award for that, Jeremy. Your stupidity is unrivaled.
If I lost my precious wife, I wouldn't give two who was driving behind me. I would be totally focused on her.
And that's the truth of it too. These people that are in this procession are not worried about the other people sharing the roadway. They understand it's a freaking street and people need to get to certain places. They just want to make sure that they can stay together and be escorted, you know, somewhat normally. But instead, you're causing a ruckus and you're making this so extra, thinking that you're protecting lives. And instead, you're just embarrassing families and creating dangerous moments by trying to pull people over when you're not a cop. So to wrap things up, we're going to bring up the lie detector test now, which Dr. Phil brings in a real professional, and he even asks Jeremy in the intro of this clip if he fully trusted the situation. And of course he answers yes, because he's like, yep, I answered truthfully and it was professional. That's what they always say. Now let's see what questions he asked him and see what these answers are. I'm sure Jeremy's not gonna lie, right? He's never done that before.
Have you knowingly misused your given funeral escort rights to appear as someone empowered by law enforcement? And your answer was?
No.
Okay, so that first one's a lie. He says that he has not ever misused given funeral escort rights to appear as someone empowered by law enforcement. We all know that's exactly your MO, dude. The next question is, have you falsely presented yourself to a citizen as someone empowered by law enforcement? And he said no. I would say that's borderline a lie as well. I'm sure he's done that off camera. But also, even on camera, we've heard him talk about his, state licensed and state backed officers of the law that he works with. But instead, it's just some random people that he hired that are getting vetted by a motorcycle instructor. So not anywhere near a real police officer. And I'm sure he lied on the third question as well. But let's just get to these results and hear what would have been counted as a lie versus his actual score.
This methodology calls for a -3 or less in order to be in the deceptive range. It is my opinion that Mr. Dewitte was being deceptive to the target questions.
So I have no idea how lie detector tests work, but he says whatever metric they're measuring, it needs to be -3 or worse to count as deception, right? So what do you guys think Jeremy got? Like probably a -4, a -5, I don't know, something pretty egregious like that, right? Let's see.
Mr. Dewitte scored at a -37.
So this was not a close call.
This was not a close call.
And the fake shocked look. This guy is just the worst actor. He scored a -37. Jeremy, you've been a pretty much complete failure so far up to this point, but I gotta tell you one thing. You are setting high scores on this lie detector test. No one can lie truly as well as you do, or as terribly as you do, I guess, since you got caught literally 34 points or something like that past what would have counted as a major lie. So hold this L, Jeremy. You pretty much just got fully exposed. I don't really know how much more recourse he can have. He tries to talk his way out of it further, but this lie detector test guy ensures that he has taken necessary steps. He even had what's called countermeasures, which are like additional testing things that they put around his body to make sure that these results are as accurate as they could possibly be. Now, a lie detector test is not 100% accurate, but I would say in this condition and in this setting, we can trust it pretty well. And based off of Jeremy's past behavior, I would say that is totally okay to take these numbers at face value.
You've got to stop trying to justify and rationalize and explain away these things and own them, fix them, and move on. And I'm willing to get you help to do that with if you're willing to.
So we have actually a kind of wholesome ending there. Dr. Phil in his wrapping up statement proclaims to Jeremy that basically he is throwing away his livelihood and his family possibly for all this dumb stuff he's doing. He could clearly run a business himself and be successful. Why not just do your actual job and not do all this extra stuff that's causing this media attention and these court trials? It's just tearing your life apart, dude. And it's from a place of insecurity because you didn't make it as a cop, but that just happens sometimes, dude. You got to take the L and just do your job normally, like I was saying. So it sounds like Dr. Phil's gonna offer him some help. I don't know what that means. It could be just the doctor on demand thing he's been offering to people now that COVID has hit. Like in the last year, he's been doing that a lot. Or he might actually pay for some good therapy. Who knows? Jeremy might be going to the ranch. But yeah, that about wraps up the Jeremy Dewitte saga on Dr. Phil. Let me know if you want me to cover some more videos of him just outside this show, because he truly is such a character that is just so funny to laugh at, and his content is just so cringy to me because he's trying so hard to look like a cop. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed all 3 parts. I appreciate everyone liking and watching the videos and subscribing. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. And until next time, peace out.